7. Choosing a university. Hey Alex, thanks for your email asking me for advice on applying to university. Before I say anything about this, I want to emphasize that there is plenty of really helpful advice out there for you on choosing which universities to apply to. 1. There is the Unistat's website www.unistats.co.uk that I told you about in my second letter to you. 2. The UCA's website www.ucas.com provides a lot of information about all the universities that you might be interested in applying to go to http www.ucas.com students using courses using Unimap. UCAS also publishes a guide to applying to university. 3. The websites for the Times, Telegraph, Guardian, and Independent all have lots of information for prospective university students, with the Times and the Guardian each publishing their own guides to universities. 4. The Student Room www.thestudentroom.co.uk might also contain useful inside information about universities that you are thinking of applying to, though I find it a bit hit and miss whether I'm able to get the information I want from the Student Room. 5. The websites of the universities you are thinking of applying to will also be well worth looking at, especially for the dates of open days, which would allow you to get a real flavor of what those universities are like. So these should be your first ports of call in seeking advice on what universities you should apply to. But maybe I can say a few things that you might not learn from these other sources of information. Let's start with some economics. How universities make their money. There are basically 5 ways for universities to make the money they need in order to pay for the staff and facilities they need to function. 1. Student fees. Cuts in government funding of universities were partly offset by allowing the universities to charge UQ undergraduates up to £9,000 a year in tuition fees. Most universities have taken advantage of this option to charge their UQ undergraduates the full £9,000 a year, though it should be emphasized that the initial cost of paying the fees will usually fall on the government, which will lend UQ students the money to pay these fees. The loans will then be gradually repaid after the student starts earning more than £21,000 a year. It should also be emphasized that students from poorer backgrounds may well be able to take advantage of university bursaries and other forms of assistance to reduce the amount of tuition fees that they have to pay. Students coming from outside the EU may provide a very useful source of income for universities, as they can be charged much higher fees than UQ students pay. Further income can be made by running short summer school courses for students. 2. Government funding. Three. Investment income. Universities that have existed for a number of years will usually have built up some investment capital known as the university's endowment that provides it with a yearly, though variable, source of income. 4. Donations. A university can add to its endowment or help cover its yearly running costs through donations. Usually, donations come from a university's old members, though they can also come from companies or multimillionaires who wish to be associated with a university in some way. A notable example of this was the donation of £20 million to the School of Law at King's College London KCL by Dixon Poon, the Hong Kong businessman and philanthropist. This has helped endow a number of scholarships for law students at KCL, and the School of Law at KCL was renamed the Dixon Poon School of Law in recognition of Poon's generosity. 5. Renting out facilities. A university can also earn money through renting out its facilities, for example, by charging its students for their accommodation and access to computer facilities, and renting out its halls for conferences and weddings. Once you understand how universities make their money, you can understand what a huge advantage Oxford and Cambridge have over other universities, because they and their constituent colleges can rely on all 5 sources of income to keep themselves running. High student numbers mean that they receive about £55 million a year towards their teaching costs, and their academic reputation results in their being paid about £120 million for their research. Their academic reputation also means that they can run the sort of postgraduate courses that are very likely to attract high-fee paying students from across the world. Huge endowments, about £4 billion in each case, bring in a lot of investment income. And the strong feelings of loyalty that ex-students feel towards their university, and especially their former colleges, mean that many ex-students are happy to donate money to support their university or their college. For example, I owe my job to the money that was donated by former students of James Campbell, who taught law at Pembroke College, Cambridge, for almost 40 years, to provide Pembroke with enough money to fund the James Campbell Fellowship in Law. The cachet of the Oxford and Cambridge name attracts corporate sponsors and support, and the beauty of both cities means that there is no lack of people wanting to rent out the university's facilities for their events. As we'll see, the fact that other universities have to rely on more limited sources of funding has a big effect on how they operate, and it's useful to bear that in mind in choosing what university to apply to. 3 types of law faculty. In light of what's just been said, let's compare 3 different law faculties. I'll assume in each case that the faculty is based in a university that doesn't have much of an endowment and doesn't have much income coming in from donations or from renting out its facilities. So each of the faculties below is faced with the problem: how do you make enough money to sustain yourself, given that sources of income 3, 4, and 5 aren't really available to you? For faculty, the answer is obvious. You maximize sources of income 1 and 2. But there's a problem. Accepting a lot of law students will help boost the faculty's income from student fees, and to a limited extent bring in some grants from HEFs to contribute towards the cost of teaching those students. However, students need teaching, and teaching makes it harder to do the kind of research and produce the kind of work that will score highly on the ref and bring in lots of funding from HEFs in recognition of the faculty's research excellence. Faculty solves that problem by recruiting a lot of academics whose job is principally to write books and articles. Of course, these books and articles have to be good. So the academics faculty recruits will be stars, the sort of academics who can be expected to produce really interesting work on a regular basis. These star academics will be expected to do some lecturing, particularly on postgraduate courses, where the academic star status will help to attract high-fee paying non-EU students. But they won't be expected to mark essays or see students on a one-to-one basis or give them some feedback on their work or progress. That will be left to other people, usually graduates fresh out of university, who are just starting out in their careers, don't have any kind of star reputation, and are just looking to get on the first rung of the academic ladder. Faculty B might like to do what Faculty A is doing, but for some reason or another it can't. One reason might be that there are only so many star academics in the world, and it only takes a few faculty, as not to mention the law faculties at Oxford and Cambridge, to gobble them all up. Another reason might be that Faculty B just doesn't have the academic reputation or the kind of location that would help it attract the sort of star academics who would boost its research profile. So Faculty B can't hope to get that much money by way of funding for its research. Instead, Faculty B has to rely primarily on student fees to keep itself going. But again, there's a problem. By definition, Not that many law faculties will be in a position to pursue the sort of strategy that Faculty A is pursuing, as I've just said. There aren't that many star academics in the world, and there are only enough to boost the research profile of a few Faculty As. So most law faculties will be in the position of Faculty B of having to rely primarily on student fees to keep themselves going. And that fact means Faculty B will face a lot of competition from other law faculties for the law students that it needs to come through its doors every year to keep Faculty B afloat. Faculty B reacts to this competition by aiming to distinguish itself from its competitors by getting a reputation for providing its law students with a really first-class education. So while Faculty A is looking to recruit star researchers, Faculty B looks to recruit star teachers who can be relied upon to provide its students with inspirational lectures and guidance. Faculty C is in the same position as Faculty